Hello, my name is Douglas Bloch. Welcome to the Depression Recovery Channel, where each week we talk about practical tools and coping strategies for healing from depression and anxiety. Today is Flashback Friday, a feature in which I republish one of my earlier videos you might not have seen that contains really important coping strategies that will help you attain a better mood. Now here's today's video. Well, as it has become a custom on this channel, I need to start with a joke. Some of you have actually started writing me and giving me jokes. I think this was one of them. Anyway, I apologize to anybody out there who might be vegan. I actually don't eat meat myself. I almost censored this joke, but it was clever. So what do you get when you cross a pig with a centipede? Bacon and legs. All right, so the title of today's talk is A Survival Plan, or My Survival Plan for Living in Hell. And you know, have you ever wondered what it was like to live in hell? I mean, many people were taught that, well, hell is a place you go after you die if you've done bad things on earth. But as many of you know who are tuning into the station, you don't have to die to go to hell. You can experience hell right here on planet Earth. One of my mentors, a New Thought minister called Reverend Knight, once said, "Have you ever been in a hell of a fix?" Well, I don't know about you, but I've certainly been in one hell of a fix. Not one, not two, but 3 or 4 times. And I define hell as a state of unbearable pain and suffering that seems to have no end. For me, that has been my experiences of major depression, because depression is hell. That's why I called my memoir, When Going Through Hell, Don't Stop. Now, how do we do this? How do we go through hell and not stop, and how do we come out the other side? Well, the first step is to recognize that the hell of depression is not permanent. The truth is that all states, no matter how good or bad, are temporary. They have a beginning, they have a middle, and they have an end. Everything in the physical world is subject to change. So it's really important to know that. And therefore, the mantra that I tell all my group members and people who write me and people who call me is, this too shall pass. As a matter of fact, I did a video called 4 Words That Can Save Your Life. And those words are, this too shall pass. Even though the hell of a depression is impermanent, it doesn't feel that way. I remember distinctly a conversation I had with a minister friend during the episode I write about in my book. He was trying to be very encouraging. He said, "You know, I know you're going to come out of this." I said, "I'm not going to." He said, "How do you know?" I said, "I just know. Hey, you're not inside of me. Every fiber of my being tells me I'm not going to get well. So please." I was actually getting really mad at him. He was pissing me off because he was trying to contradict what I knew to be true inside. What I was doing was, in the words of cognitive behavioral therapy, I was engaging in something called emotional reasoning. Emotional reasoning says, because you feel a certain way, it must be true. So if I feel I'm not going to get better, it's not going to happen. But of course, your feelings can be wrong. I'm going to repeat it again. Your feelings are sometimes wrong, because when your brain is sufficiently dysregulated, it blinds you to the truth. Let me put it another way. Depression can trick you into believing that you'll never get better. But of course, that is not true. This brings me to my second tip for getting out of the hell of a depressive episode, and that is to reach out for support. Because depression lies about the future, you need other people around you to dispute that false belief. They can hold a field of recovery for you, and they can believe for you what you can't believe for yourself. I remember in 1997, I went to a meeting of people at the Living Enrichment Center. There were 12 of them. And one by one, they told me that I was going to get better, and I disputed every one of them. But guess what? They were 12. I was one. Majority won that debate, because about 5 or 6 days later, I noticed a shift. Now, I have many people writing me through YouTube saying they don't have that. They don't have friends. They don't have family. They're alone, they're isolated, and my heart goes out to them. But even there are some things you can do. First of all, there are low-cost or sometimes free counseling services available in most cities. Also, you can go to your local place of worship if you go and talk to, rabbi, minister, priest, whomever. Or you can actually go ahead and maybe go to meetup.com or call the National Alliance on Mental Illness, 1-800-950-NAMI, and there are support groups in most cities in the country. Or if all else fails, you can call Silent Unity, a number I've been giving out forever to people who need support, invisible means of support, prayer. Their number is 1 816-969-2000. They're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They've been doing this since 1889, and they hold a powerful field. They'll give you an affirmative prayer, give you an affirmation, and they will hold you in the light for 30 days in their prayer chapel. And it really, when people do this, they call me up and they invariably say, I feel better, I feel more hope. The third key to surviving hell is to live your life one day at a time. Now, you might have heard this before. It comes from AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, and you may think, oh, it's just a platitude. What's the big deal? Well, this is no platitude. This can be life-saving. And why do I say that? Because when you're depressed, oftentimes, and I've done this so many times, you look into the future, you see it's bleak, and you say, heck, if this is the way I'm going to live forever, I don't want to continue. I'm out of here. Well, I devised an exercise based on the idea of living a day at a time that counters this. And here's how it goes. First, step one is you notice when you're catastrophizing about the future. You notice when your mind is thinking into the future and seeing nothing but horrible things. And you catch yourself and you say, cancel, 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 cancel. And then immediately you say to yourself, hey, I've been thinking about the future, but the future has not happened. It's fictitious, and therefore it cannot harm me. And the third thing you do is you take a deep breath, get into your body, feel your feet on the floor, get back into the room, and ask yourself, okay, what can I do now to keep myself safe until the end of the day? What coping skills can I use? Can I call someone? Can I go for a walk? Can I listen to music, take a bath? Can I call silent unity? I just need to survive, not 1 month or 5 months or 5 years, but just the next couple of hours, and then I'll worry about the next day. Well, I use this exercise time and time again, and I can credit it for saving my life. And if any of you would like this, I've written it up in my book, Healing from Depression, but you don't have to get the book. I will send you a free copy, excerpted from the book in an email. Just email me, douglasbloch@gmail.com, and I'll get this to you. The advantage of living in hell one day at a time is that each day that passes, each day that you survive, you're one step closer to your liberation. This is, of course, because your state isn't permanent. Now, a really good example of this that inspired me tremendously during my episode is a book called Adrift, written by Stephen Callahan. It's a memoir. It tells the story of this guy who is an amazing sailor. He built his own boat. He was traveling maybe around the world, I forget, but he got shipwrecked off the coast of Africa. And his ship was destroyed. All he had was a little dinghy. And he got in that dinghy and he had some food, and fortunately had something that could convert salt water into regular water, but not very much else. And he was set adrift going west. He calculated that if he could just hang in there, eventually he would hit land, North America, and be rescued. But he didn't know when or how, so he just took it each day. And on the 76th day, he spotted a bunch of seagulls. He knew he was near land, and soon a group of fishermen spotted him, and he was rescued. The same thing happened to me, and the same thing can happen to you if you live one day at a time. So let's say that you agree with this idea. Let's say that you're in depression or anxiety or going through a really tough time. Remember that famous book by Robert Schuller, Tough Times Never Last, but Tough People Do? Kind of thought that was clever. Anyway, you're going through a tough time and you're trying to live a day at a time. So what actually do you do? Well, I devised this 4-step process for living in hell. I called it my brain maintenance program. And I created a little diagram, which you can see on the screen. Physical self-care, mental emotional self-care, spiritual connection, social support, lifestyle habits, all these different strategies. There are about 45 of them that I used off and on during that 9 months. And this diagram is available to you. Just again, email me, douglasbloch@gmail.com, and I'll be glad to send it to you. I would like to close by saying that going through hell is not a 100% bad thing. As a matter of fact, when you survive an emotional hell, you come out a wiser and more compassionate being. What happens when you put coal under pressure for millions of years? You get a diamond. That's why the great teacher Elizabeth Kubler-Ross once said, "We are polished by the windstorms of life." I was once living at the Findhorn Foundation, a spiritual community in Scotland. I met a man who radiated a really high state of consciousness. I asked one of the residents, how did Sir George get to be so enlightened? The guy looked at me straightforward and said, it was really very simple. You see, he's been to hell and back. Well, I'm really thankful that I made it through hell. And So have many of my YouTube fans. Many of you guys have written me, and I'm really glad you made it through hell. And if those of you are watching, if there's some people watching who are still in the middle, haven't come out the other side, I have some encouraging words for you that I'd like to close with, taken from my book, Healing from Depression. So I'm going to grab it right here if I can. This is actually on the back cover. On the inside, there's a phoenix bird, my favorite symbol of resurrection, rising out of its own ashes. And this is how I concluded this book. If you're on the edge of the abyss, don't jump. If you are going through hell, don't stop. As long as you are breathing, there is hope. As long as day follows night, there is hope. Nothing stays the same forever. Set an intention to heal, reach out for support, and you will find help. This has been Douglas Bloch. I hope you found the information on this Flashback Friday video helpful. If so, please give it a like, as likes draw more and more people to this channel and hopefully some more subscribers. You can also leave your comments in the comments section or email me, douglasbloch@gmail.com. If you do want to subscribe to this channel, click on my photo in the closing credits. You'll be taken to my subscribe page. And if you click on the bell to the right, you'll be notified every time I do a new video or live chat. And if you want to contribute to this channel and become a patron, simply click on the Patreon image. You'll be taken to my crowdfunding site. And until next video, I wish you the best in your mental health recovery. Thank you so much.